It's not always the big stuff that disappears first. Sometimes, it's the things sitting quietly in your house right now, the ones you'd never think twice about. But when disaster hits, those same items, they shoot from cheap to can't find anywhere. They go from forgotten to fought over in stores, in shelters, even in neighborhoods. And if you're not holding them when the shelves go empty, you'll be forced to pay double, trade more, or do without. In this video, we're breaking down 7 everyday household items that may look ordinary today, but the moment a crisis hits, they'll skyrocket in value overnight. Quick heads up before we begin. This channel isn't about fear or hype. We share practical, experience-backed prepping insights that anyone can use. Got your own tip? Drop it in the comments because the more we all share, the better we all prepare. Number 1. White vinegar. It's one of the cheapest items in your pantry. No expiration date, no fancy packaging, just a clear liquid sitting quietly in a plastic jug. But when a crisis hits and sanitation breaks down, white vinegar becomes one of the most in-demand, fastest vanishing products on the shelf. People underestimate vinegar because they think it's just for salads or cleaning windows. But in reality, a gallon of white vinegar is one of the most versatile survival tools you can have at home. It purifies, preserves, disinfects, deodorizes, softens, degreases, and even repels pests. During Hurricane Katrina, field hospitals used vinegar to disinfect surfaces when bleach ran out. In rural Puerto Rico post-Maria, vinegar was used to preserve perishables when refrigerators failed. And in crisis zones where water purification was limited, vinegar diluted with boiled water was even used to rinse, produce, or clean utensils. FEMA doesn't list vinegar by name, but their sanitation and shelter hygiene recommendations emphasize disinfectants, surface cleaners, and food-safe agents, all roles vinegar can fill. When soap and wipes vanish, people turn to household chemicals. And nothing's more effective per dollar than vinegar. But here's the catch. Stores don't carry much. In the early days of COVID-19, vinegar was wiped from shelves along with toilet paper and bleach. Why? Because people rediscovered its role as an all-purpose cleaning agent, especially in homes trying to sanitize every surface, door handle, and package. In a barter economy, white vinegar becomes a trading asset. 1 gallon can be split into smaller bottles and exchanged for food, batteries, or first aid. Its long shelf life and multi-use application make it ideal for long-term storage, something few people think about until too late. And it's not just survival, it's morale. In an extended crisis, having a way to clean your clothes, wash your hands, sanitize your space, or reduce odor means mental clarity and dignity. Vinegar delivers all of that for pennies today, but at a premium tomorrow. So while everyone else is fighting over flashy gear, you could quietly stack a few gallon jugs in your pantry. Just 3 or 4 gallons and you're covered for cleaning, food prep, water handling, and more. Don't wait until the shelves are bare, because when people realize what vinegar really does, they'll fight for the last bottle. And that $2 jug, it'll be worth more than they ever expected. Number 2. Manual hand crank grater. In a functioning kitchen, a food processor or blender does the heavy lifting. But in a blackout, with no electricity, you're left with raw ingredients and no way to prep them unless you've got a manual hand crank grater. Box graters, rotary graters, or even hand crank slicers are cheap, basic tools most people ignore. But when the grid goes down, they instantly become essential survival gear for the kitchen, and their value skyrockets. Why? Because once canned goods run out and people turn to dry staples like potatoes, squash, cabbage, or stored cheese, they realize they need to shred, slice, or grind things by hand. Without a way to break down food, people either waste ingredients or resort to cooking whole chunks, which takes longer and burns through more fuel. During the 2021 Texas blackout, thousands of households had to switch to camping stoves, wood burners, or no-cook meals. Those who had manual kitchen tools could prep quickly. Others? They were stuck cutting vegetables with pocket knives or hammering spices with spoons. It wasn't just inconvenient, it was inefficient and unsafe. FEMA encourages food that can be prepared without electricity. But what they don't stress enough is the tools needed to prepare that food. A grater gives you mechanical control over texture, speed, and quantity without burning calories chopping everything with a dull blade. It saves time, saves energy, and reduces frustration when cooking for groups. And here's the kicker, most homes don't own one anymore. In the age of plug-in everything, the hand grater disappeared. That's why, during early COVID lockdowns, rotary and box graters were sold out on Amazon and in big box stores. With people baking bread, shredding cheese, and prepping vegetables by hand, demand tripled overnight. Collapse makes people resourceful, but you can't improvise a grater. You either have one or you're fighting someone else for theirs. It's also highly barterable. In a neighborhood survival setup or shelter, the guy with the crank grater feeds everyone faster, safer, and cleaner. That means leverage, and in collapse, leverage is everything. Store one in your kitchen drawer. Wrap it to avoid rust. Test it. Keep a backup in your emergency cooking bin. Because when electric tools fail, the oldest kitchen tech becomes the most valuable. And trust me, once food prep slows down, patience runs out fast. Number 3, disposable razors. In the middle of a crisis, shaving probably isn't the first thing on your mind. But once days turn into weeks, and the collapse stretches longer than expected, something changes, hygiene becomes survival, and disposable razors go from afterthought to absolute necessity. It's not about looking sharp, it's about staying clean, preventing skin infections, and preserving morale. In disaster zones like post-Katrina shelters or long-term field camps in Afghanistan, razors were one of the most requested items. Why? Because even a basic shave can restore a sense of control, dignity, and normalcy when everything around you feels broken. FEMA's hygiene kit recommendations include razors for a reason. Unshaved faces collect dirt, bacteria, and sweat, a perfect breeding ground for rashes and infections, especially in hot or humid environments. And for those with facial hair who rely on respirators or masks, a proper seal is impossible without a clean shave. That turns personal grooming into a health and safety requirement. But here's where things get real. Disposable razors disappear fast once supply chains break. During COVID's early months, razors were among the first hygiene items to vanish from dollar stores and pharmacies, not because of panic, but because people quickly realized they couldn't maintain hygiene routines without power or running water. Electric razors? Useless in a blackout. Straight razors? Too risky without medical-grade sanitation. That's where disposable razors shine: lightweight, sterile, compact, and safe enough for emergency use. You can toss them after a few uses, reducing contamination and avoiding blade maintenance. In barter scenarios, a pack of razors is more valuable than most people think. In prisons, refugee camps, and disaster shelters, single razors are traded for food, socks, or even favors. Their small size and hygiene utility make them a silent powerhouse in the post-collapse economy. Smart prepping means stacking hygiene alongside food and water. Toss a few bulk packs of razors in your bin, not just for yourself, but for trade, sharing, or emergencies where someone needs to feel human again. Pack them in waterproof bags, keep them sealed, and store in multiple kits. Because when you haven't showered in 5 days, the power's out, and you're stuck sleeping rough, the ability to feel clean, even just on your face, can mean everything. And in a world where people fight over toothpaste, you better believe a clean razor becomes gold. Number 4, bungee cord sets. In a collapse scenario, the ability to tie, suspend, compress, or fasten gear becomes critical. And while most people run straight for ropes or zip ties, the smart ones grab something far more versatile: bungee cords. These stretchable cords with metal or plastic hooks are quiet workhorses in survival setups. Whether you're lashing a tarp, bundling gear, sealing a door, or suspending items inside a makeshift shelter, bungee cords provide instant tension and reusable grip, something zip ties and duct tape can't offer. FEMA's emergency sheltering playbooks don't mention bungees by name, but their logistics sections include adjustable fastening materials for a reason. In field shelters and temporary housing, teams often rely on elastic cord systems to secure partitions, hang tarps, or stabilize medical tents. During post-hurricane relief efforts in Florida and Texas, bungees were used to secure tent walls, hang food from trees to keep it animal safe, and even strap broken doors closed. What makes bungee cords so valuable in a crisis is their speed and silence. You don't need to tie knots or cut anything. You don't need tools. Just hook, stretch, and lock. That speed means faster setups, fewer errors, and more flexibility when conditions change fast. Now here's the twist: despite their value, most households don't stock them in volume. You might find one in a garage, maybe 2 in a trunk, but not a proper set. And when things break down, whether it's the power grid, a storm wrecking your roof, or you're bugging out to a backup location, stores won't have them for long. They're not high inventory items, and they fly off the shelves the moment people realize they need fast, durable, reusable fastening solutions. They're also great for internal organization. Bundle sleeping bags or foam pads, hang lanterns inside tents, lash water jugs in vehicles during rough travel. Suspend food or bags in trees to avoid pests. They even hold emergency signage, patch clothing lines, and act as resistance bands for injury recovery, a silent detail often overlooked. Want to prep smart? Pick up 2-3 multi-length bungee sets, 12, 24, 36, and even a few heavy-duty ones. Label them, group them, and stash extras in your go bag, vehicle, and toolkit. Because when the storm hits and people are fumbling with tape and string, you'll already be locked in, fastened down, and moving forward. Number 5. Plastic wrap. You've probably used it to cover leftovers, maybe wrapped a sandwich. But in a real collapse, when the grid's down and resources are vanishing, plastic wrap transforms from a kitchen extra to one of the most valuable survival materials in your home. It's silent, flexible, waterproof, airtight, and cheap until it's gone, and when crisis hits, it goes fast. Here's why. Plastic wrap does a lot more than cover food. It's a sanitation barrier, a moisture seal, a medical tool, and an insulation layer all in one. In post-disaster shelters after hurricanes and floods, FEMA and Red Cross teams have used industrial cling film to wrap exposed wounds, keep medical kits sterile, and even line makeshift toilets when bags run out. And it's not just large rolls. Standard household plastic wrap, the kind sitting in your drawer right now, becomes critical when people realize they can't wash things properly. It seals utensils, cups, bowls, and even faucet handles to prevent contamination in shared living spaces. It creates makeshift gloves, bandage protection, or soap barriers in outdoor bathrooms. During the COVID panic buying waves, plastic wrap sold out in dozens of urban areas. Why? Because it let people isolate surfaces, doorknobs, fridge handles, even debit machines without touching them directly. It also helped people pre-wrap lunches, ration perishables, and keep small items from spoiling in community kitchens. It's also a thermal tool. Smart preppers use cling film to trap heat by layering it over windows, inside jackets, or around emergency insulation. When paired with cardboard or emergency blankets, it creates a powerful heat barrier, one that's silent, wind-resistant, and invisible from outside. In a barter situation, a full roll of cling film holds high value. Lightweight, sealed, and needed in every shelter, people will gladly trade food, soap, or batteries for something that keeps their space safe and clean. And unlike other wraps, cling film is compact and stores for years without degrading. Most people don't stock it, they assume it's always in stores. But when panic begins, it's one of the first hygiene-adjacent items to disappear, right alongside paper towels and foil. And unlike foil, it's elastic, meaning it can wrap tight and seal odd shapes. Stock smart. Grab a few industrial-length rolls. Store them sealed, away from heat. Keep one in your kitchen, one in your bug-out bag, and one in your hygiene kit. Because when surfaces get dangerous and germs are everywhere, the person holding plastic wrap holds the advantage. Number 6. Hot water bottles. In the middle of winter, when the power's out and there's no gas to heat your home, even a few degrees of warmth can mean the difference between comfort and crisis. That's when an old-school, forgotten item becomes a lifeline: the hot water bottle. You've probably seen them in Grandma's medicine cabinet, a soft rubber pouch with a twist cap. Nothing high-tech. But in a full-blown collapse, that simplicity is its power. Hot water bottles don't need electricity, batteries, or fire, just hot water. And when fuel is scarce, every ounce of heat has to count. In the 2021 Texas blackout, thousands of families were left without heat for days in freezing temperatures. Blankets and candles helped, but those who had hot water bottles managed to sleep without risking carbon monoxide poisoning. Filled with water from boiled pots or solar kettles, these bottles stayed warm for hours and were safe to tuck into bedding, hold against the chest, or place at the feet of children. They're also vital for morale. In cold conditions, warmth is more than survival, it's emotional security. A warm object reduces anxiety, helps people rest, and maintains body temperature through long, restless nights. For the elderly or chronically ill, they can prevent hypothermia when central heat fails. FEMA doesn't mention hot water bottles specifically, but their cold weather survival guidelines emphasize non-electric heat sources and thermal conservation. Hot water bottles check both boxes. They concentrate warmth exactly where it's needed, using minimal fuel to maximum effect. Most homes don't have them anymore. They're not trendy, not modern. But in the aftermath of disasters, from UK energy crises to earthquake shelters in Turkey, they're one of the most requested comfort items. And when the cold sets in, they sell out fast. A single bottle costs a few dollars today, But when stores are dark and heaters are dead, that $5 rubber pouch becomes the cheapest, safest personal heater money can't buy anymore. Stock 2 per person. Keep one in your winter bin and another in your go bag. Test them, check for leaks. Because when the temperature drops and options run thin, the person with hot water bottles sleeps warm, thinks clear, and survives with a calm most others can't find. Number 7. Cloth shower curtains. Most people don't give them a second thought. They hang quietly in the bathroom, catching splashes and steam. But during a real crisis, when homes turn into shelters and privacy becomes priceless, cloth shower curtains transform into one of the most practical survival tools you never thought to stock. Unlike plastic tarps that tear, flap, or melt, cloth shower curtains are quiet, flexible, reusable, and safe in extreme conditions. They're designed to handle water, steam, and bacteria, which makes them ideal for makeshift shelters, partitioning, insulation, and gear protection when everything's falling apart. In emergency shelters after Hurricane Sandy and the California wildfires, relief workers and evacuees used cloth curtains to divide sleeping spaces, block broken windows, and hang between cots for minimal privacy. Families tied them from ceiling beams or between chairs to create quiet corners, something FEMA doesn't issue, but every crisis makes painfully necessary. Privacy is more than comfort, it's emotional survival. In group shelters or multi-family homes, the ability to block off space reduces tension, prevents arguments, and keeps dignity intact. And when there's no power, no insulation, and no safe bathroom, a water-resistant cloth curtain becomes an emergency room divider, splash barrier, or even a makeshift door. They're also useful in mobile setups. Hung inside tents or cars, they regulate temperature by blocking wind or trapping heat. Draped over windows, they provide visual cover from outside while letting air pass. Even for outdoor use, covering food, creating sun barriers, or building temporary showers, their utility stretches far beyond the bathroom. Unlike tarps or plastic, they fold small, make no noise, and don't attract attention. That makes them perfect for stealth survival, especially in urban environments where keeping a low profile matters. Once the shelves are empty, and people start raiding home goods for anything useful, these disappear fast, not because they're obvious, but because those who know their value grab them first. Prepping smart means having tools that serve more than one purpose. Keep at least 2 neutral-colored, plastic-free cloth curtains in your kit. Pair them with binder clips, zip ties, or spare rope. Roll one into your go bag, keep the other with your shelter gear, because when disaster hits and you're sleeping 5 to a room, a simple piece of cloth might be your only boundary left. And in a world where everyone's crammed together, the person who can create peace and privacy wins more than just space. So there you have it. 7 household items you've probably walked past 100 times, each one cheap, common, and forgotten until the crisis hits. But when it does, these aren't just supplies, they're leverage, they're tools. They're the reason someone sleeps warm, cooks clean, or holds their dignity in the middle of disaster. The difference between being overwhelmed or being in control comes down to what you've quietly prepared before the panic begins. Most people wait until the shelves are empty. But you? You've just seen what they'll be fighting over before they even realize it's missing, and that's what this channel is all about, giving you a head start while the rest of the world plays catch-up. So if you found even one idea here that made you stop and think, hit that subscribe button, because the next video might be the one that saves you a trip or saves you in ways you won't see coming. And if you've got an overlooked item we didn't cover, drop it in the comments. The more we share, the more we all prepare together. Hit like if this hit home. And share it with someone who still thinks prepping means just a flashlight and canned beans, because what's ordinary today might just become untouchable tomorrow.